The message on my phone didn't disappear this time. It stayed on the screen, steady white letters against a black background. Go where life and death meet. I looked up at Mark. What does that even mean? Before he could answer, sirens began rising all around the neighborhood, not one or two, dozens. Different directions, different distances, but all heading the same way. Sarah whispered. The hospital. 10 minutes later we were driving. Traffic lights were out across half the town, yet every car on the road seemed to be moving toward Mercy General. Nobody honked. Nobody sped. It was quiet in the most unnatural way, like people already knew something bad had happened but weren't ready to say it aloud. When we reached the parking lot, the first thing we noticed wasn't the crowd. It was the stillness. Ambulances sat with their back doors open. Gurneys stood abandoned near the entrance. A nurse was standing outside crying into her hands while a police officer tried to talk to her but clearly wasn't getting answers. Inside was worse. Machines were beeping in empty rooms. Not flatline beeps, normal heart monitor rhythms, but no patients in the beds. Sheets were still warm. 4 lines still hanging. One room had a TV playing the news to no one. Mark stopped walking. I followed his stare. A hospital gown lay collapsed on the mattress, perfectly shaped like a person had been there a second ago, but now there was only fabric and a small cross necklace resting on the pillow. Sarah covered her mouth again. Then a doctor rushed past us toward the nurse's station, shouting. ICU just lost another 12. Nobody asked how. Because across the hallway, something else was happening. At the far end of the corridor, faint golden particles were still drifting downward in the air, slowly fading, like the last sparks after fireworks. Exactly like the light that took Mr. Henderson. No one else seemed to notice the golden particles. Doctors ran past them. Nurses pushed carts straight through them. But the moment I stepped closer, the air changed, warmer, almost peaceful. Mark grabbed my arm. You feel that too, right? I nodded. It wasn't heat. It felt alive. Sarah hesitated behind us. Guys, maybe we shouldn't. A sudden cry echoed from inside the ICU ward. We rushed through the doors. Families filled the hallway, some praying, some arguing with staff, some just staring blankly at empty rooms where their loved ones had been minutes earlier. A man slammed his fists on the desk. My wife was on oxygen. She couldn't even stand. Where did she go? The nurse kept shaking her head. We don't know, they just weren't there anymore. Then every monitor in the ICU flickered at once. Beep, beep, beep. All perfectly synchronized. Every screen displayed a straight horizontal line, not a flat line, just a single bright bar across each monitor, glowing softly. The lights above us dimmed. Sarah whispered. This is exactly like the street. The same low hum returned, the sound we heard outside Mr. Henderson's house. But now it was louder. Coming from inside one of the ICU rooms. Door 214. Its handle slowly turned by itself. No one touched it. The door opened only a few inches, and warm golden light spilled into the hallway. Not blinding, inviting. I don't know why, but I walked toward it. Each step felt easier than the last, like gravity wasn't pulling as hard anymore. Behind me, people were shouting, alarms restarting, phones ringing, yet it all sounded distant, muted. I reached the doorway and looked inside. The bed was empty. But above it, the air shimmered. Shapes were forming inside the light, outlines, human silhouettes, rising upward through the ceiling like reflections in water. Mark stepped beside me, voice shaking. They're not gone. And just then, the monitor behind us screamed back to life. The scream of the monitor snapped everyone back to reality. Beep, beep, beep. It wasn't flat anymore, numbers were changing rapidly, faster than any normal heartbeat could ever register. The nurse rushed into the room behind us. That monitor isn't connected to anyone. But the line kept moving. Up, down, up again, forming a pattern. Mark leaned closer to the screen. That's not a pulse. The rhythm slowed, then repeated. 3 long peaks, 0.2 short, 0.3 long again, Sarah whispered, like a signal. The golden light in room 214 brightened in response, almost reacting to the sound. The air vibrated gently around us, like standing near a massive speaker but without noise. Then every phone in the hallway buzzed at once, not ringing. Not notifications, just vibration, constant. People pulled them out. No service. No Wi-Fi. Yet every screen displayed the same thing. A single line of text. No sender. No app. Just words appearing letter by letter. Do not be afraid. Someone started crying. Another person dropped to their knees. A doctor backed away from the ICU doors, whispering. This can't be happening. The lights dimmed further. Outside the windows, the evening sky looked wrong, darker at the top, glowing faint gold near the horizon even though the sun had already set. Mark pointed upward. Look at the clouds. They weren't moving with the wind anymore, they were circling, slowly spiraling over the city like water down a drain. The hum deepened. No longer just a sound but a pressure in the chest, not painful, heavy almost, pulling. Inside room 214 the silhouettes in the air became clearer, human shapes made of soft light, rising upward through the ceiling one after another. Sarah grabbed my sleeve. They looked peaceful, then suddenly the temperature dropped. Cold air rushed down the hallway. The golden particles around us flickered violently, and every phone screen changed again. The words erased themselves. For a moment the screens went completely black, then new text appeared, one word at a time. The first word appeared slowly on every screen. Stay. No one spoke. Even the ICU monitors sounded softer, as if the floor itself was listening. Then another word formed. Inside. A man near the elevators forced a laugh. Someone hacked the system. Hospitals get pranks all the time. He pressed the call button. Nothing. No light. No motor. No hum inside the shaft. The third word appeared. Together. Sarah whispered, why would a hacker care if we stay together? Before anyone answered, the emergency stairwell door at the end of the corridor opened by itself. Not slammed. Not kicked. It slowly pulled inward like someone invisible held the handle. Cold air poured into the hallway carrying a deep metallic vibration from the sky. Not thunder. Not sirens. Something longer, stretched across miles. Mark stepped toward the small glass window. Then stopped. Don't go outside. We joined him and looked down. The parking lot was full of cars, engines running, headlights on, driver doors open. No people. Across the street traffic lights kept changing for empty lanes. A city still operating, without anyone operating it. Above the skyline the golden spiral widened, faint vertical streaks descending from the clouds like distant pillars of light. Behind us the ICU door clicked open. Room 214 glowed brighter than before. Inside, another bed was empty. Sheets folded inward like a body had simply vanished between breaths. The heart monitor powered on by itself and displayed words instead of vitals. The time is short. A nurse shook her head. Short until what? The vibration deepened. Far away glass shattered in waves across the city, followed by hundreds of car alarms rising together. Every phone in our hands buzzed again. A new message began typing. The letters appeared slower this time. Not flashing, forming carefully, like whoever sent them wanted no mistake. Do not go outside. No one argued now. The man at the elevator backed away from the doors without another word. A woman who had been trying to call her husband lowered her phone and just stared at the message. The hum in the building deepened again. Ceiling tiles rattled softly, then settled. Not shaking, resonating. Mark whispered. It's getting closer. Another line typed beneath the first. Stay where you are. Sarah swallowed. Why would outside matter if people are already disappearing? Before I could answer, a loud metallic crash echoed from the lower floor, the parking garage. Not an accident, a rolling impact, like multiple vehicles slowly colliding without drivers correcting them. We moved to the stairwell window again. One car had begun creeping forward, engine idling, tire turning slightly until it pressed into the vehicle ahead of it. Then another. A chain reaction at walking speed. No panic. Just motion without control. The sky above the city brightened faint gold again, stronger than before. The spiraling clouds now formed a clear circular opening directly overhead. Inside the ICU, monitors flickered together. Not alarms, synchronized pulses of soft light across every screen. Room 214 glowed brighter, spilling into the hall. The air felt lighter on my chest, heavier in my ears, the same pressure from the street earlier. Then the phones vibrated once more. A third line appeared. Listen for the sound. The hum shifted instantly, rising in pitch, clearer, almost musical. Somewhere outside, far above, a single sustained tone began building across the sky. And everyone in the hallway stopped moving at the exact same moment. No one told us to be quiet. We just were. The tone outside held steady, not loud, but impossible to ignore. It didn't echo through the air, it felt like it came from everywhere at once, inside the walls, inside the floor, even inside your chest. Sarah pressed her hands over her ears. I can still hear it. Mark nodded slowly. Yeah, me too. The ICU lights dimmed another level. Not darkness, just softer, like the building was giving priority to something else. Then the heart monitors changed again. Instead of numbers or lines, each screen pulsed gently in rhythm with the sound. Every beat perfectly matched the tone above the city. Together. Perfectly synchronized. Down the hallway someone tried opening the main exit doors. They didn't budge. Not locked, just unmoving, like the handles were set in concrete. The man pulled harder. The moment he yanked the bar, the tone sharpened for half a second. He immediately let go, stepping back without understanding why. His phone lit up before ours. He stared at it, then lowered his hands. What did it say? Sarah asked. He didn't answer. He simply walked back to the wall and sat down. Our phones vibrated next. A new sentence appeared under the last message. The sound will guide the living. The golden glow through the ICU doorway strengthened again. The silhouettes inside the room moved upward more quickly now, no longer drifting but ascending with purpose. I felt the pressure lift slightly off my shoulders, replaced by a pull upward I couldn't physically feel, only sense. Mark looked toward the ceiling. It's closer than before. Outside the windows the clouds no longer spiraled slowly. They were rotating faster. And the tone was rising. The tone kept climbing higher. Not painfully loud, just clearer, like a note coming into focus. Every pulse in the ICU matched it perfectly now. Screens glowed softly, brightening and dimming together as if the whole floor shared one heartbeat. A woman near the waiting chairs stood slowly. I feel lighter. She wasn't panicking. Just confused. Her purse strap slid off her shoulder and didn't fall right away, it drifted, hanging a second before dropping to the tile. Sarah grabbed the edge of the counter. Did you see that? I nodded. The air pressure changed again. Not pushing down anymore, easing upward, like gravity had loosened its grip. My shoes still touched the floor, but the weight in my legs felt reduced. In room 214 the light strengthened, spreading across the ceiling in soft waves. The silhouettes inside were clearer now, human shapes rising one by one through the roof, fading as they passed beyond it. Mark stared upward. It's happening again. Down the hallway a rolling floor stand began to move. No one touched it. Its wheels turned slowly toward the ICU door, stopping exactly at the threshold like it had reached a destination. Phones vibrated once more. "Do not fear the lifting." Someone whispered a prayer. Outside the windows loose papers rose from the parking lot pavement, hovering inches above the ground before settling again. Car alarms continued in the distance but sounded muffled, as if heard underwater. The tone shifted, warmer now, almost layered with faint harmony. Sarah looked at me. "You feel that in your chest?" Before I could answer, the overhead exit sign swung gently forward, and didn't swing back. It stayed angled upward. And a few strands of Sarah's hair slowly lifted toward the ceiling. Sarah didn't move when her hair lifted. She just stared upward, breathing slowly, like she was afraid a sudden motion would change whatever was happening around us. The exit sign above the hallway stayed tilted toward the ceiling, gently vibrating with the tone. Papers on the nurse's desk trembled and slid a fraction of an inch at a time, always toward room 214. Mark loosened his grip on the counter. "I barely feel my weight," he said quietly. I shifted my foot. My shoe still touched the floor, but lighter, like walking in a swimming pool. Every step took less effort than it should. Inside the glowing ICU room, the light pulsed wider across the ceiling. The silhouettes rose faster now, one after another, each fading into the brightness above before the next appeared. No struggle. No panic. Just upward motion. A metal tray near the wall rattled once, then lifted a centimeter off the surface and settled back down. Gasps filled the hallway. Phones vibrated again. "Hold to one another." Without thinking, Sarah grabbed my hand. Mark stepped closer beside us. Around the corridor, families instinctively moved together, strangers standing shoulder to shoulder, as if distance suddenly felt unsafe. Outside the windows, dust drifted upward from the parking lot asphalt in faint spirals. The golden glow in the sky reflected across the glass, brighter than any streetlight. The tone deepened with a second harmony layered beneath it. I felt it in my ribs, not heard, felt, like standing near a massive engine humming perfectly in tune. Then the elevator doors behind us slid open. No power indicators. No sound of cables. Just opening. Inside, the car was empty. But a warm light filled it from above, and the ceiling panel inside was gone, revealing open darkness beyond. The tone rose another step higher. No one stepped into the elevator. We only stared. The inside wasn't dark the way a shaft should be. Above the car there was depth, soft gold fading into white, like the ceiling no longer existed and the space just kept going. The tone matched the pulsing light inside it. Sarah tightened her grip on my hand. "It's open." Mark shook his head slowly. "Elevators don't open to sky." A clipboard near the nurse's station slid off the counter and stopped halfway to the floor, hovering for a breath before settling gently down. The pull upward strengthened, still gentle, but undeniable now. My jacket lifted slightly away from my shoulders, then rested again. Phones vibrated. Not all will rise at once. No one spoke after reading it. A man across the hall stepped toward the elevator without realizing. His feet moved slowly, like walking into shallow water. He stopped at the threshold, staring into the light above the car. Warm air flowed out from inside, not wind, just presence. The ICU monitors pulsed brighter. In room 214 another silhouette formed and ascended through the ceiling in a smooth motion. Outside the windows, several loose papers lifted fully from the ground and remained suspended, circling lazily in the parking lot glow. The tone gained another harmony. Lower. Stronger. I felt it in my chest bones. The man at the elevator raised his hand slightly into the light, not touching anything, just feeling. His expression softened. Behind us, the stairwell door slowly began to close by itself. No slam. Just sealing shut. And the brightness inside the elevator deepened another shade toward white. The stairwell door clicked shut behind us. The sound echoed farther than it should have, like the hallway had grown longer. No one tried to open it again. All attention stayed on the elevator. The man standing at the threshold lifted his hand a little higher into the light. His sleeve rose slightly against gravity, floating around his wrist. He didn't pull away. "It's warm," he whispered. Not to anyone, just stating it. The tone above us softened, almost welcoming. The lower harmony faded while a clearer note remained, steady and calm. Phones vibrated again. "Wait." Everyone froze instinctively. Even the floating dust in the corridor seemed to pause midair before drifting slowly again. The pull upward held steady but didn't increase. Mark exhaled slowly. "It's choosing moments." Inside room 214 the glow dimmed briefly, then brightened in a single pulse. Another shape formed, faint at first, then clearer, rising through the ceiling as the monitors flashed once in perfect sync. Sarah squeezed my hand tighter. "They look peaceful." Outside the windows, car headlights in the lot flickered off one by one, leaving only the gold reflection from the sky lighting the pavement. The man at the elevator stepped forward half a step without realizing. His shoes barely scraped the floor. He looked back at us, not scared, almost reassured. "You feel that?" he asked quietly. Before anyone answered, every phone lit at the same instant. A new line appeared beneath the last message. "When the sound changes." The tone shifted slightly higher, clearer than before. And the light inside the elevator brightened again. The new note held steady for 3 seconds. Then it changed. Not louder, purer. The moment it shifted, every monitor in the ICU flashed white once. The glow inside room 214 surged across the hallway ceiling like a soft wave passing overhead. The man at the elevator gasped quietly. His heels lifted first. Only an inch, but clearly off the floor. He didn't jump. Didn't struggle. His body relaxed instead, shoulders lowering as if tension left him all at once. Sarah whispered. "It's happening to him." Phones vibrated in our hands again. "Now." The pull strengthened, still gentle but undeniable. My jacket rose slightly around my arms, and the papers near the desk lifted higher than before, circling slowly toward the elevator light. The man turned back to us, eyes clear. He wasn't afraid. "I think, this is where I'm supposed to go." Mark didn't try to stop him. None of us did. He drifted forward into the elevator, feet no longer touching the floor. The light surrounded him without blinding us, soft and steady. As he rose upward into the opening above the car, the tone warmed, layered again like distant voices forming harmony. His outline faded gradually into brightness. Then he was gone. The pull released instantly. Everything settled. Dust fell. Papers dropped. My shoes felt heavy again. The elevator doors slowly closed on their own. Silence filled the hallway. For a long moment nobody spoke. Then my phone vibrated once more. A new message appeared, different from all the others. I stared at it, and looked back toward the sky outside the hospital windows. "I'll show you that message next."